Welcome to the Coach and Crew Show. Get ready to take things to the next level. And now, the host of the Coach and Crew Show, the coach, Charlie Krause.
So, Adrian Cronauer has Good Morning Vietnam. Casey Kasem even has, and now, on with the countdown. I feel like, Phil, you and I need some type of tagline intro that we can revert to and keep them going at all times. It just doesn't feel satisfying complete without a true tagline introduction. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on this is now episode 5, and those that said we would never last, ha ha ha, we've showed you. So, Phil,
how about our tagline? If you want to watch a show real bad, we have a real bad show. That didn't work?
Wait a second here. Wait a second. I think that's degrading towards at least one of us. So
probably me.
Yeah. All right, folks. Listen, thanks for joining us. It's going to be a pretty good episode. Phil and I, we put a lot of time and work into these things, and we want to go for quality over quantity. So sometimes our shows go about 50 to 55 minutes. Other times, like tonight, the plan might be about 30 to 35 minutes. But you know what? Unlike Thompson's ex-girlfriends, we go for quality. Oh, did I go there? Sorry. And you can send your complaints to
complain about that one.
And you can complain, and you can send your complaints to P.O. Box. Anyway, look, the college football regular season has ended. The playoffs have been announced. The bowl games have been announced. The only thing left to do is now play the games. And even the awards have been given out. So Phil and I are real quickly just going to touch base on a few of the main awards that were given out this past weekend. And just share our 2 cents on them. There's really, unfortunately, not going to be much debate and controversy in Phil and I's world, because at the end of the day, we kind of more agree with it than not. Starting with the Heisman Trophy. I am not a Heisman voter. Phil's not a Heisman voter.
I'm not a Heisman voter.
But we both agree that, yeah, his numbers clearly are top 3 worthy, if not top 1 worthy. So we're not the least bit surprised of him being able to take said award. I believe Commissioner Gordon just called, and so Tantor's got to rush out for that. So I'll just take over full time until Phil gets back and able to talk to Commissioner Gordon. But there's nothing wrong with Jayden Daniels. There's no negatives whatsoever I can say about Jayden Daniels. If I was being subjective, for me, the one position that should account for losses is the quarterback position, and LSU had 3 losses. But I'm trying to nitpick here because his stats were clearly one of the best, if not the best, in all of college football. It's a well-deserved award. Like I said, he might not have been my number 1, but I have no problems with Jayden winning it.
We can nitpick it because his stats, remember, they ran up the score on Georgia State, where I think he had 8 touchdowns that game, when some of the competitors in the Heisman Trophy voting, Penix and Bo Nix, both were pulled out of their games at halftime in blowouts because their coaches weren't playing the game to win their player and Heisman Trophy. So could this be different if their coaches approach those games differently? Maybe so. I think he's deserving of the Heisman Trophy. I don't have a vote. I think he's deserving. I have no problem with him getting it. But I will say that his coach did run up the score on some of their lesser opponents. And his stats against, let's say, FSU, the first game of the season, weren't stellar.
I mean, we could beat a dead horse about this, yep. But we both made our points. And Phil well said about the whole second half running up the score business. All right.
But can I say something about the Heisman voting?
Absolutely.
I looked at the vote totals, and the 4 guys that were there, they're fantastic football players, had great seasons. I agree with 100%. But there was one joker that voted J.J. McCarthy first place in the voting, that dude needs to have his Heisman Trophy vote stripped. Period.
And Phil, I'm going to piggyback on the whole thing. The Heisman Trophy voting, there are some real high-level experts out there, but then there's also Nissan gets a vote. The fans get a total of 1 vote. There's so many other factors that are like, why do you get a vote? What have you done to help promote the sport, to help enhance the sport, to earn a vote for the most prestigious award in all of college football, most prestigious individual award? So I see what you're saying. I agree with it. All right. The Defensive Player of the Year award, if you will. I believe it's called the Bronco Nagurski Award. That went to Xavier Watts of Notre Dame. Again, personally, no problem with it. He did not receive my vote. This is one of those Football Writers Association's votes, so I do get a vote.
I get a vote too.
He might not have been my number 1, but once again, he's definitely a top 4 finalist for me, and I've got no qualms with it whatsoever because his PFF grade was high. His stats were very respectable, if not just dominating. Again, I have no complaints about this.
I don't either. I did not vote for him number 1, but I can't throw stones at the vote. He's very deserving, but I think the guys that finished in the top 3, every one of them were deserving of the award.
Now, this is who I voted for, and multiple times over.
Me too.
And the winner of the Defensive Lineman Award went to Latua of UCLA. I mean, yes, I saw single-handedly how one person could wreck a game, and he did that against Coastal Carolina in the opening game of the season, and just was a beast all season long. It was just announced earlier today that he is going to the NFL and opted out of playing. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But
good, because I have something to say about that.
I'm sure you will, because I that's going to be our one heavy segment of punch counter punch. But you know, happy he won the defensive lineman award. And Phil, I'm sure you feel the same way about him as I do.
I am, because I voted for him number 1 also. I thought he was tremendous. I did think that the kid from Utah, Ellis, I voted him number 2. I thought he was tremendous too. So I thought these guys were a close 1-2. And really, I think they're both extremely good defensive linemen.
The Lou Groza Award winner, at the end of the day, look, who I voted for, he's a freshman. He's going to have his turn. So I can't get...
I voted for this guy.
I know you did. And there's, again, nothing wrong with his stats. The person I just voted for happened to be a freshman. He'll end up as a freshman All-American. Did not miss a single field goal, did not miss a single extra point. But congratulations to the Miami, Ohio kid who ended up winning this award.
He was tremendous. I don't think he missed a field goal. He missed an extra point, but I don't think he missed a field goal this season. And he hit some long ones too. He hit 1 or 2 longer than 50 yards. So he was a factor in his team winning this season. And Miami of Ohio had an exceptional year.
And then one of my personal favorites, Ollie Gordon.
Yeah.
To for lack of better words, the running back of the year award. I thought he was definitely worthy of number 1. The Missouri kid and the North Carolina kid were 2 and 3 in my opinion, but I'm glad that Ollie Gordon earned this award.
I voted for him number 1 also. So so far for position battles, I seem to be picking the national winners.
For the most part, yeah, and they get subjective.
It very much is.
Now, the Outland Trophy, I don't know why I've always liked this award. I think because the defensive line is one of my favorite positions. So Devondre Sweat, I think he's going to be an NFL stud. He'll probably be top 15 draft pick when he decides to come out So Outland Trophy winner Tavondre Sweat of Texas. I'm happy for him with this as well.
He did fantastic this season.
All right. Now, here's where Phil and I do not see eye to eye. We do not see left to right. We do not see front to back. Everything I'm about to say, he's going to have a counterpoint. He's going to say how wrong I am. I'm going to come back and say he is the devil himself. He is what's wrong with college athletics. Now, I'm going to preface by saying this. I have not researched the more than just the quote. So I cannot tell you if this quote is authentic or not. I assume it is, but you know what happens when you make an assumption. All right. There are 41 bowl games. As of right now, only 13 teams remain fully intact with their head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and quarterback. Out of the 82 games, only 13 teams have all four of those available for those games. There's a phrase called opting out. There's a phrase called transfer portal, and going ahead and just moving right on. And Phil, I'm going to let you go first on your belief system about bowl games because I already know I'm going to be quiet and respectful, but man, I already disagree with every word about to come out of your mouth.
Oh, I know you will because you know how I look at bowl games. There are only 2 bowl games that matter, 2 bowl games that are even sanctioned by the NCAA, and that is Alabama and Michigan playing and Washington and Texas playing. That's it. Those are the only 2 bowl games that matter. The rest of the bowl games are exhibition games. Let me repeat that. Officially, the rest of the bowl games are exhibition games. When a team finishes their conference schedule in their regular season, their season is over. Bowl games should not count for anything. It's an exhibition, period. It's a preseason game, only it's a preseason game for 2024. All right? So these games don't count. They don't matter to anyone except for the kids playing. And good coaches coach this game that every kid, it's a reward for their kids for the season. And every kid that shows up, if I was a coach on a team, I would play every single darn kid would find the field. They would touch grass in the game. I don't care what it is, even if it's running out there picking up the tee off a kickoff. Every kid that dresses, that went to the game, would get on the field because I want to see them get some tape. I want to see them on the field against somebody wearing a different colored jersey and not in practice because this is an exhibition game. And I know that now they count stats and they count it on the record, but really and truly, this is just a stinking exhibition game. The players that have futures in the NFL can and should, in the laws of Tantor, bail on their team and prepare for their next level because college, let's just not even say college football. College is supposed to prepare you for your professional career. All right. If you went to college to play football, and people do, so let's not just sit here and go, oh, they're athletes. Bullshit. Okay. They are athletes. They're not students. The student part is very secondary. So they are prepared to go to the professional career, which is the NFL for college football players. And the next step in a useless exhibition game is to not play, go wherever they are, prepare for the NFL Combine and prepare for the NFL Draft, and go make yourself millions of dollars. That's what you should do.
All right. I can't believe I actually have to agree with about a 90-second segment of that entire rant. I do appreciate Phil recognizing the effort every kid makes. So yes, if you're down 31-3, that kickoff team, I'm putting a whole new set of faces. You get to play one play. And I would make it so, and I would have my coaches make it so every kid gets on that field for at least one play. They traveled with the team. They worked just as hard. They were there at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. They were there for every meeting. They were there for every rep, the whole 9 yards. That much.
Hey, if they were part of those lower programs without all these athletic supporters and equipment managers and stuff, the freshies are out there at 4:30 a.m. setting up the practice field.
Even more so. You say it's non-sanctioned. Yeah, well, you're wrong on that. It's sanctioned. Bowl season is its own event, and it's fully sponsored by half of the bowls are set by the bowl committee itself. So that part you don't win on. You say it's an exhibition game and it doesn't count towards anything. You know good and well it counts towards the final standings. If you're 8-4 and you win your bowl game, you end the season 9-4. I know you don't believe in that, but that is a factual statement.
Does our organization, the College Football Writers Association of America, do another poll after bowl season?
It does the final end of the year.
It's already done. It's already done after the last one. They released their last poll. They don't even do another poll.
If you look at all the magazines the next season, if you look at their final record the next season, it's going to
count it. Dude, they started counting that 20 years ago. They started counting stats and they started counting the records. But I never will. I'm old school. It's an exhibition game, and I treat it that way.
And that's fine, but I'm just sharing my side of it.
Unless my team is playing in the playoff, then it means something.
And I'm glad you shared that it does. The only thing it means something is to these kids, because if you didn't say that,
it means something to the kids.
I was going to definitely boot you off the show.
Get suspended
because these kids. Let me tell you, and in that locker room, this is the most important thing they got going on. And those opting out, listen, the whole injury thing, that could happen anywhere. You could be running a practice route and practicing your 40 time, and you could come up and lame on that. Are there injuries likely to happen? Probably so. Do injuries happen? Absolutely so. But if that's the number one reason you're opting out is because of injuries, or if your heart's not really in it, then why'd you do it to begin with? Okay. The fact that you said that these kids want to play furthermore, well, the reality is these fifth-year seniors are making more money at college than they will at pro. So they're actually making smarter executive decisions to continue their college career years 5, 6, and probably even 7 now. It's ridiculous. There has to be some regulation. There has to be some type of overseeing ceiling.
But there's not. It's the wild, wild west out there. John Burns just made a comment with NIL money. I mean, we'll use Jeff Sims, that was a Georgia Tech quarterback for 3 seasons, transferred to Nebraska. He's going to enter the portal again and transfer again to play. That these guys are now hitting their 6th season. They're kind of like professional college players, jumping from team to team based on NIL money and stuff. And it's kind of ridiculous, and it's a little bit of a joke.
It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's absolutely a joke. That whole bonus season for COVID, I think next year's the final year for that. I think once we get all of those bonus seasons out of the way, that's going to start clearing up some of the mess. But there is so much mess to be cleaning up. And we're going to spend an episode once the entire college football season goes away, dissecting what all we think is a complete mess. And then it's always been my theory, if you say that there's a mess or you say there's a problem, you have to offer a solution to make said mess get better and cleaned up, or suggestion to make it
better. If my kid, and I'm saying, okay, let's say if I have a kid playing for, let's say, Coastal Carolina, all right, a lower level team, a mid-level team, and my kid is playing D-line, and he's a senior, but he might be an undrafted or maybe trying to be a 6th or 7th round. He's not going to be a 1st or 2nd rounder. I'm going to tell him to play in that bowl game, because you want more film out there on you giving against the best opposition that you can have out there. So bowl games can be an opportunity for kids to get in the draft and the kids to improve their draft status. However, if you're a first round pick and a guy, two guys, the defensive end from FSU and Brock Bowers, the tight end from UGA, I wouldn't play in that bowl game. They're going to be their consensus top 10 picks. I wouldn't play in it at all. They can't improve anything. All they can do is go down. They have nothing to prove out there, and they should prepare to be NFL players and make millions of dollars, life-changing money. Don't screw up life-changing money. Don't do it.
We each have our own opinions. If I had Brock Bowers level talent at the end of the day,
which neither one of us do.
No. That we learned that back in about second grade for me.
Yep.
That I don't have
that same issue to me.
Yep. But my competitive fire in me still says, for me personally, I'm playing. And now, as an older adult, and I'm quickly learning what the word professional decision means, and I now implement that daily in my life when it comes to athletics. But when I was in my prime and in my prime, if there is such a thing as when I was in my prime, I'd play. But that's just a personal, subjective matter. All right.
I know you would play, dude. You've had 2 ACL surgeries. You've proven you've went under the knife from your professional play and your professional want. So you've done it. I know. I give you props for that.
There's not many that have more jackets of that membership club than I do, but I know of at least one who's been under the knife 3 times. All right. Phil and I have a special treat tomorrow. We're going to share it out. It's just going to be a recorded video. I'll clean it up and then we'll share it out. But make sure you're subscribing to us. Make sure you're liking us. We have Scott Glazier, the executive producer of the Gasparilla Bowl, we're interviewing tomorrow. It's going to be about a 15, 20-minute conversation with Phil, myself, and Scott. We're going to talk about Gasparilla Bowl. We're going to talk about the city of Tampa. It's really going to be a fun interview. It's going to be a good look. So look for that exclusively on YouTube or Twitter, but it will not be a live recording. It'll just be a recorded recording, if that is such a phrase. And but please, that's going to be something you can really sink your teeth into. UCF plays Georgia Tech. It's going to be a real special interview, a high-level interview, high-quality interview. And Phil and I've got a lot of good stuff prepared. We can't hear what Scott has to say about the Gasparilla Bowl. So,
yeah, I'm really excited to interview Scott Glazier. It'll be fantastic.
So make sure you are subscribed, make sure you are following, and so you can this is one of those you can't miss type of interviews. All right. Like I said, we're going for quality, not quantity. And so quality means let's get right into what's coming up next this weekend, and that's bowl games. If you see this video, why don't you play along and put your money where your mouth is? So in the description on our YouTube link is a little form you can click on and submit your picks to see how you do against us. But we're going to talk about some of these Saturday games and go from there. First game of the entire season, for once, is not the Bahamas Bowl. It had to be switched. Now it's the Toasted Pastries Bowl, and so that's now been pushed to Monday. And taking its spot is the Myrtle Beach Bowl. So I believe at 11 or 11:30 a.m. kickoff time, Georgia Southern plays the Ohio Bobcats in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. And for this one, Phil and I see, I guess, eye to eye, at least on the final result. We both have Ohio winning. Phil, if I got to be nervous about my own pick, in some ways, the starting quarterback, Kurt Rourke, of Ohio has entered the portal. I don't know if he's playing or not, but here's what I know about Georgia Southern. They had a great first half of the season.
I know.
Not so much the second half of the season.
And that's why I didn't choose them, man. The second half of the season, it was brutal. So, and you know what? We're just gonna go straight up.
Oh, yeah.
I like Bobcats. I just like the name Bobcats. It's just cool. Bobcat. It just sounds so cool. It's like a fun school. It's got to be a fun time. I did not know the Ohio quarterback entered the portal. That's brutal, man. I hope they got somebody ready to go.
So here's the thing about spreads for those of you who want spreads for college football and the bowl games. Always take the dog, always take the over. You'll come out atop 75% of the time. Next bowl game is the New Orleans Bowl. Louisiana at 6-6. Some people could say that was a disappointing season for them. And then Jacksonville State, one of the two that had to qualify because of lack of other teams there. The Fighting Rich Rods, and they play fast. I'm rooting hard for Jacksonville State. I saw them play in person.
I'm Jacks for Jacksonville State.
We're both on Jacksonville State. I'm on Team Rich Rod. They're a fun team to watch. They were a fun story to follow this year. This is their first full year in Division I, and I don't want to say backdoored themselves, but without making their crybaby-ness throwing a fit, they found themselves. I didn't say that. If you just connected some pieces and went there, then you went there. So we're both big on Jacksonville State. Go Gamecocks. Next, avocados from Mexico. Miami, Ohio travels down to Orlando for the Cure Bowl, where they play App State Mountaineers. And for the first time, we have split votes. So I have my reasons why I picked Miami. Phil's got his reasons why he picked App State. Phil, if you want to say, besides just throwing darts at a wall and see what stuck, why you went with the Mountaineers.
I could tell you why. All right, number one, I watched every single highlight game of Miami of Ohio because I was looking at their kicker to vote for the Lou Groza Award. So I did more research on a MAC school than anything possible on Miami of Ohio. They're actually a good team. They had a great season. Congratulations. But every time in the last 5 years I've went against App State, they have kicked my ass. And that's why I went with them. Bottom line, every time I go against App State, they win. And I truly believe that the top half of the Sun Belt, the top 4 teams in the Sun Belt, can play against any conference, anywhere, anytime, any day. That's just what I think. And people can call me nuts, crazy, whatever, but the top half of the Sun Belt, and Appalachian State is the top half of the Sun Belt. They're a damn good little team. And I just don't – I didn't take Miami because I didn't want App State to kick my ass again.
Miami, if you compare offense to offense, is not going to be able to keep up with Appalachian State. Where Appalachian State has its issues is it's ranked 84th, I believe, in the nation and yards per play type of average, where Miami, Ohio's defense is top 13 in the nation. They're only and then Miami, Ohio's scoring defense is top 10 in the nation. So when it came down to it, I took the Red Hawks, the Miami, Ohio, MAC champion, Mid-American champion. And I just placed it off of, sometimes defenses go further. And I looked at what Troy did to Appalachian State, and in that second half, they just ran all over them. Now, Troy, I think, is a different level opponent than either one of these teams. So it's not a true
Troy's for real.
Yes. But I went the Red Hawks. And you know what? We're just going to roll the dice and see what happens. Because these bowl games, holy cow, spreads don't matter.
Nope. Maybe it's because they're exhibition games.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. I didn't take the bait, but I see what you did there. All right, New Mexico Bowl down in
How the hell did you have New Mexico State is 10-4, dude?
Because I'm glad you asked.
Extra games?
I'm glad you asked.
Yes, I am. I'm being serious. I'm not even making fun of you.
I know you're not. Because if you play, Hawaii gets one extra home game a year. And if you travel to Hawaii during the regular season, you get that as a bonus game. Well, this year, wow. New Mexico State, as a non-conference opponent to Hawaii, traveled to Hawaii. They got that bonus game. And then on top of that, they also played in the CUSA championship game. So how's that for a technicality? But
well, yes. You know what? For everybody watching this, you learned something from this YouTube video. You know, you sit here and you watch these two nerds talk about football and you learn something new. Congratulations, and you're welcome.
One of my two favorite trophies is also on display for this game. All right. The, what's it called? The Northman Grumman Armed Forces trophy. That one is made out of either used bulletproof vests or sometimes helicopters, and they turn it into a trophy. That's pretty freaking awesome. But then somebody for the New Mexico Bowl hand sculpts a custom-made vase to appeal to the cultures of New Mexico State and Fresno State, and they win that custom sculptured vase, one of a kind, as their trophy. Better not drop it. So it's one of the cooler trophies to win out there. Phil and I are on the same page. We do think that Jerry Kill probably is the better coach. I don't even know if we could, off the top of our head, without scratching hard and thinking hard, if we could tell you the Fresno State head coach. Both had good years. Yep. Both had good years, but at the end of the day, Phil and I are on New Mexico State, and that team actually has an offense, and they know how to just pull away. I've seen firsthand on the negative side how they don't care who you are and what stadium they're in.
Yeah, we've seen how they beat up the SEC teams this year.
Yes. Thanks. Shot fired.
Oh, you have some PTSD for that one. Hey, I made it through the MAC team. You can make it through that one.
Yeah. All right. The LA Bowl brought to you by Rob Gronkowski. I didn't know Gronk could be his own sponsor, but apparently he is.
I think that's cool as shit. When I saw that, I was like, Gronk is his own sponsor? That is his own brand. Congratulations, Gronk. You're your own brand. You're my hero.
Here's an interesting matchup. You've got the fired head coach from Boise State, left for dead Boise State, the interim Boise State coach, then goes on a 3-0 or 4-0 run, makes it to the Mountain West championship game only because it was a four-way tie and some computer formula said you are the second best team in this formula, so therefore you're going to go on the road, where they went on the road and they won big
time too. Cost me some money.
They are now riding huge, or riding big, or bronking hard, or whatever you want to say. On top of that, now they're, as of yesterday, their starting quarterback just went into the portal. Less than 24 hours later, he came out of the portal at the University of Arkansas. So now they're without a quarterback. Inside sources just told me as well that their number 2 quarterback has been out all season, so they're now down to number 3 quarterback. UCLA's got their handful of opt-outs as well, including our Player of the Year honors of Latua and Dante Moore, a part-time starting quarterback, the 5-star kid, Johnny 5-star. He's entered the portal, but they're going to at least have one starting quarterback. How I made my pick on this one was as simple as this. I think just players remaining, UCLA probably has greater talent remaining. We'll see whose heart is in the game, because UCLA, the directions to the stadium include just look across the street and you're there. Broncos actually get to go on an experience. We'll see what happens with a number 1 Mountain West school versus the number 5 Pac-12 school.
I thought that Boise State, they always come to play, no matter what. Now, granted, they've got a new coaching staff out there that's interim. I think these kids want to go out on top. I mean, we watched their championship game, and they laid it out with UNLV. I mean,
it wasn't even close.
No, it wasn't. UNLV is a good team, too, this year. So they kicked the crap out of them. I was just really impressed with Boise State, and I thought that UCLA just lost too much in the portal this week.
And it's going to be one of those. Let's see who's right. But I mean, it's tough making calls when so much changes during these final weeks. And then the last game on Saturday is the Independence Bowl. Texas Tech coming in at 6-6. Cal coming in at 6-6. Phil and I are both on Texas Tech. I've seen Cal play. Phil, myself, and if we find 9 others, can probably stop and hold California's offense to about 17 points, maybe 20. So having younger athletes, I think Texas Tech should shine bright against Cal.
I thought Texas Tech did fairly well there at the end of the year, and I thought they were doing more than Cal was at the end of the season. So that's why I went with them. We'll see. I mean, this one, I don't know. I kind of think that Cal's stumbling around in the dark a little bit. They got lucky and the ACC picked them up, but as I've said on some of my videos, we don't know how long the ACC is going to be around, so they might not be out of trouble.
And Florida State might be a member of the Big Ten within the next, 6 weeks.
That's a lot of money, though, that they're going to have. Florida State will have to pay, though, for that.
Well, they started researching that this past summer, so they've known this conversation was coming for a while now.
Oh, they've been doing it for longer than this past summer. They've been on their little war, use that. Florida State's been on the warpath on getting out of the ACC for probably 3 or 4 years. So,
funny man Tantor laying jokes.
No shit. Tip your waiters and waitresses. I'll be here all week.
So just a quick summary on screen of where Phil and I are the same. Once again, folks, couple things. If you want to submit your picks, go to the description in YouTube, and you can follow the link there and submit your picks and join us and put your money where your mouth is. Also, look for our video tomorrow sometime. We're going to be interviewing the executive director of the Gasparilla Bowl. I think a lot of people will really enjoy that video and that conversation overall. All right, Phil, grand finale, final takeaways, and anything else you want to talk about.
Hey, thanks to everybody that's been watching us. We love college football. We've had another fantastic season. We're going to have a great bowl season. Come join Tantor down in Tampa at the Gasparilla Bowl. Tantor will be on location. Can't wait. Really excited about attending that.
And my final cheap plug, I'm going to throw it out there now. I'm going to throw it again out there next week. We are going to be off on Christmas Day. But on January 1st, we're going to come in for a special 30-minute show only in between the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. So whatever time the Rose Bowl ends, flip to us, check us out for 30 minutes, and then we'll go back to enjoying the Sugar Bowl part 2 of the national championship games. And then we'll come to you before kickoff of the actual national championship game itself. So a lot's going on, lots planned. It's starting to really take a life on its own, and it's be a good look. So if you're enjoying this, share it with your friends, talk it up, help us out, do us that favor. We appreciate all your support. Anything else, Phil?
That is it. We'll see you down in Tampa.
Have a good one, folks. We'll see you next time.